Alright. Let's see what we can get done here. Oh, I didn't even go live yesterday, did I? Alright. Let's see what we can get done here today. We're gonna keep going on in this kind of format that we've been doing. So if anybody wants to follow along with me, I'm gonna show you what we're working on. How's it going, Q? Yeah, it is Linux time. Yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of Linux. We're gonna do Linux, maybe this will be a little bit of Ansible as well, maybe. Definitely be some Ansible. So what we're going to do here is we're going to build something. We're going to build a few things. And then we're going to, the idea of this node over here that I have, and this note's been shared up in Discord, but I'll drop it in again if you guys want under meeting notes. But what this is it sends you to one of our labs, right? It sends you to a lab, and it says what a Linux admin needs to know about security, right? So it's you do the lab, and in the lab you do some tasks and you learn some things, and that's awesome, right? But then I have these other questions like where do we check for things, and it's almost like the Socratic Linux that we do, where we go and figure things out and learn things kind of as we go through. So that's what I was gonna do. I don't have much time because the wife's headed home soon, and then we're gonna try to finish up. I finally got her into season 5 of Breaking Bad. She's never seen it before, so. Spoiler alert! If anybody's about to hear something they've never heard from a show that's like 10 years old, she just finished season 4 where Gus got his face blown off, right? So if you guys haven't seen it, well, there's spoiler. But anyways, over here, like so here's questions and answers and stuff, and I've just been working through these, right? And I kind of pull them up on stream every now and then, and we go through them. But I was like, oh, what can I do that's kind of quick, that doesn't take a whole lot of like investment of time, but we'll still get you guys some value, I think. So I'm going to link this to you guys. I'll pin it on the Twitch side, and I will post it. And how's it going, Agalord, over on the YouTube side? Let me pin that message. So that will be there if anybody wants to do the lab with me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the lab, right? The lab's got questions, and the lab's got things you got to think about. But then I'm also going to be writing things down over here that I think are just kind of like, again, what does an admin need to know about the security? That's going to kind of go back. That's with admin, right? With admin work, it's less about knowing all the proclivities of a thing and the back end stuff. It's more about the individual tasks, right? So I kind of draw that line there. Look, in the systems world, you just need to know as much as you can know, right? I mean, you got to be able to apply the right tool at the right time. But anyways, let's go through it a little bit. So this lab starts you off with examine the workflow for the tasks that we're about to do. So open an image in a new tab. This is what we're going to do. We're going to use a tool called Vault. We're going to create a secret. We're going to set Vault up first, right? Create a secret, enable user pass authentication, create a user. How would we know that that's running? Like, these are things that we're going to check. Then we're going to make some stuff as though we were some dev team in our environment, right? We'll do that. And then we're going to use the Ansible process to send in a username and password so that I can have a user that was created with certain roles to read those docs. We're going to make a little policy. We're going to read out and get a token. Then we're going to be able to run around with that little token and use it anywhere where we have permissions in Vault, which will be to read that one app tool. And we will pull out the secret because maybe we're setting up some infrastructure, you know, and they want to keep control of their secret of their back-end database, or every time they want to deploy it, they've got some process where they change it. That's not hard to do, right? I don't ever want to touch it. I want my Ansible tool to go check it out and just do stuff with it. Could I read it? Sure, but I've got better things to do with my time, right? I don't want to know other teams' fucking secrets. I don't want to keep track of their stuff. So my tool's going to do it, part of a pipeline. This would be part of like a CI/CD deployment pipeline. And then I could keep testing and pulling that tool and making sure that these things work every time if I wanted to, right? All right, a lot of talking to show that this is the process we're doing. All right, so your team has determined that that's what they want to do. So here's HashiCorp if you want to start with a dev server. We're just going to go and turn it on. So it should already be in the background. We've already installed it in the background. So we turned it on, and it says, hey, buddy, make sure you understand that even though you installed or you're running this in dev mode, here's your value that you want to run right here. By the way, it says right here that we want to run that. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and hit paste. And we do want to export that address. We need that in our variables. So if I say env and then grep for vault, I should see that as an exported variable. Cool, cool. So now I'm talking to my machine. And then I need to go get this root token here. This root token needs to be... Oops. And then in here, we're going to drop in. You can do Control-Shift-V depending on what type of browser you're using. Sometimes in these, oh, see, that's the reason we don't do it. All right, that's when people ask me questions normally. All right, so we've got those variables. We could check our variables again if we wanted to, right? So that might be my first question, right? How would you know that a vault variable was set in your environment? Maybe you had somebody set up your environment for you. Maybe you're supposed to get keys when you log into a certain server. And how would you know? Well, you could do env and then grep for vault. That would do it. You could print env. There's a bunch of different ways to do that. I mean, without splitting hairs too much, but print env. Back over here. Oh, don't do that. That's not going to work. Print env. And then go to same thing. Boom. Same thing, right? Print env is essentially env. All right, so then I say vault status, and I can see that vault is unsealed. I might say that it's initialized true, so those are two values that I care about. But another question over here might be, how can you tell that the vault server is running? Well, if you have that vault information correctly, you can say vault status. You could also do something like this. I guess there's a few things. PSEF. Probably see vault running. So there's vault server dev running. So I would be okay with that. PS-EF. And then maybe grep for, and I might do it something fancy like this, which is, right? So you can get away with that if you want. If you don't want to use the grep-I, you can use this, which is a clever little way to not find your grep. Because you always find grep when you just search with a -I, because grep is grepping and grep is looking for vault, so you're always going to find it. But if you say that the search is and you use a regex character, the regex character is in the search, but it's not in the output. So it's kind of clever little way of you're not going to find it. You're not going to find grep. So you could do that, or you use grep-I and just ignore it. You know, it's, how do you want to do that? What about other ways? Could I do an ss-ntulp and see that I'm listening on the port that I expect vault to be listening on? Where's that vault at? There's vault listening on 8200 and 8201 like I expect. I also expect that from the variables of right there, 8200. So okay, so that would be fine. I could either use vault or you don't need a -I, 8200, right? So either of those would get it. That's a lot shorter than grep. Yeah. So you can, guys, I'm not going to tell you how to, do all your different greps. There are so many proclivities and things to do. What I would tell you, try to find one or two that you're good at. Don't. Well, okay, look. I'm not going to tell people they can't go down a rabbit hole. I'm just going to tell you there's things that I think are important to getting the job, and there's things that are like, oh, I'm going to sit around and obsess about that all the time. I find things that I obsess about too, right? But the point is, getting the job and being able to back up and look at this whole thing is also a valuable thing to do, right? Like understand, and again, go and do these other things when you want. Yeah, conservation of keystrokes is huge, right? Figure out how to do things the minimal way. But also just know that when you're first learning this, for people that aren't super experienced, get a way that works. You'll spackle other ways on. You'll learn other ways to get around in the shell later, but just get to touching the system. I tell you guys all the time, man, if you're doing zero Linux today, at least get up in Killer Coda and do 5-10 minutes a day, maybe even more like 15-20. But get yourself acclimated to touching the shell all the time, because this is the world I live in right here. This is what I do all day, right? This is my life. So anyway, not this exact tool, but I'm saying in general, like it doesn't matter what tool I'm on. I didn't even think about that one, right? LSOF-I, port 8200 should show us that it's listening on port 8200, and it's the vault user, or the vault is the command, and then it's doing its stuff. Okay, so in all, we've got vault running. Vault's not doing anything useful yet, just sitting there, but we got it running. This thing that we're doing here, this particular lab, is much more focused on the Ansible side of it. So we're blowing through the creation of a secret and the creation of a policy and all these other things that I really think you should go spend some time with if you want to be a security engineer, and specifically if you're going to maintain Vault. If you're looking around for jobs and you're putting in Linux admin, Linux engineer, security engineer, NOC, and you're seeing Vault show up, because HashiCorp Vault is pretty popular. People like using it. It's a good tool for secrets. So you want to know and be able to talk intelligently to those things. Plus the certification for it. Like I've got a Vault associate. They're $75 to go take. You got to study for them. There's some good study stuff out on the web. There's a guy, Ned in the Cloud, who I used his Lean Pub book. I bought his book for like $20. Great book. He's got a bunch of YouTube that goes along with it. And then you just build a lab and just practice everything. You know, the next thing you know, now you're doing Vault. Maybe that's your career. This command here is going to blow up my screen. It is not going to be super useful for you guys to look at. I'm going to make the screen really small for a second. And this is just going to blow up. Like if I made this bigger, this would be very hard to read. But what this is showing is that we're using key value storage right here. And the version of the key value storage that we're using is version 2. That's very important. Version 1 only does create, read, update, and delete. Version 2 of the key value store allows for versioning of keys, and it allows you to do patch and update as well. So it's a CRUD and then a patch and update too. All right, so there's 6 functions, but we don't care about that. That's not the purpose of this. That's more if you're going to go get your Vault associate and you're going to go that way. Hey Hector, how's it going? Thanks for the bits. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Helps keep me motivated. But knowing that we can put those in, I actually wanted to one of these days rebuild some of these labs and put in some of the updating keys and listing all the versions of the key and pruning them. But for now, let's just make an app, or let's just make a secret app values. And this would be done right now. Like if I was putting different hats on for this, I would be putting on the hat of like the dev team. The dev team owns this secret. And the secret is just username secret user, and password is super secure. Another very common thing that might be stored in here as part of this secret could be connection path or connection string. You guys have all heard that, right? Connection string is the backend database that we're going to connect to. So you know, I have some Ansible code that deploys their front-end app in my environment in a set of servers that I stand up for them in a testing CI/CD pipeline, and it connects back to a database that they may have only stood up for this version of testing, and they can go update this whenever they want, and I can run my Ansible code here in a second and pull the version of the thing. I don't have to be the keeper of the key. Does that make sense? I'm the user of the key. I know that the key is under the mat to get in and get these values, but I don't need to know what those values are before I kick off my Ansible. I hope that's really clear, because that's what we're doing. My mic volume is low. Let me see here. How's that? Is that better? I had turned it down the other day because I think it was pulling too much other stuff. Is that better? Also, I'm yelling now. Can you guys hear me better? All right. Plus, I've got that, but, you know, obviously you guys want to hear me. All right, I pumped myself up. The other day, it was picking up too much of the background sound, so I had turned it down. But okay, this is fine. This sounds fine. Also, interestingly enough, I don't think you guys can hear my background. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's probably better for sound. All right, so we've put that key value in there. I take that hat off, and then now, while I'll stay as the dev, I'm going to pull that value, and I see super secret, super secure, and secret user. Those are just some things I made up, right? We could put a connect string in there if we want to, whatever. So now we've got Vault running, and somebody's put a secret in there. That secret app got created by root, and so this was the root user, this wasn't some other user. But now we're going to create, there's a couple things that we have to do. Vault out of the box does not have all the ways that you can connect to Vault turned on. It kind of makes sense, right? If Vault has hundreds of plugins, you wouldn't turn on the Azure ones and the Google ones and the AWS ones if you're only using local, right? That would be stupid, right? So systems come up very lean, but we turn on the ones we want. One that I want to turn on is the user pass authentication. That's not on by default. Users can't just connect to Vault and do stuff as users. You have to turn that functionality on. You also have to turn it on if you want to allow LDAP and all these other ones. And if you want a whole list of that, Vault, I think it's called like user access authentication methods. Yeah, here's all your auth methods. There's a bunch of them. They have like a cool little pyramid, I think. Where do I see them? And then also secrets engines and where are they at? Should be auth. They got them all in here. You can go look them up. There's a nice little cool pyramid that they do. We're just going to use the one, right? Yeah, LDAP is just if you want to connect it into like your, you know, Windows type Active Directory and that kind of stuff. I use LDAP generically. It could be all kinds of, I'm sure there's newer versions of that now. I mostly use like SSSD to connect to that, but LDAP's like my generic catch-all term for that because it's lightweight directory authentication protocol. So yeah. All right, so down here, let's do our solution here. We're going to enable user pass, right? So that'll turn on that ability. And this, by the way, the hat that I'm wearing right now is the security engineer that maintains Vault. So earlier I was wearing a hat of like a dev and I was just putting secrets in, and now I'm becoming the security admin because I'm the root user. And then I'm going to go ahead and say the first user I create is this user Ansible, and I'm going to give him a password just for now. Password's going to be something simple like Ansible12shift34, and then that's been written to auth user pass users Ansible. So there's a user Ansible, and he's got a password. Putting it in the command line is not the best way to do it, but for the lab, that's fine. Now we're going to create a policy that the user Ansible can read that path secret apps, because that path is just a path that was created inside of the key value store version 2, right? So key value store secrets app. So we're going to create a policy, and this is what the policy looks like. If we just cat Ansible policy, it's super easy. It says if the path is secret, which the path does start with secret. I don't say anything else. I just allow anything underneath it. This could be a problem. We might want more granularity, guys, and we might want to go down to specifically something. But he's going to be able to CRUD, which is create, read, update, and delete, but also list and patch, which are the two other functions that are allowed for listing the versions of the key and updating the versions of a key in key value store version 2 of Vault, right? That kind of stuff. So, we come down here. What is this? What is the link to this Linux admin guide? This stuff over here is just, I just share this in the Discord right here. We have all kinds of other admin guides if you're talking about that. Code reader. You want the, I mean, if you're talking about the Linux, I don't even have it up right now. I think it's LAC. Is that right? That's probably the best thing for maybe what you want. If you're talking about like the Linux admin guide and course that we have, but that's a little outside of the scope of what we're doing today. But okay, so I've generated that, and now I'm going to put that policy in, and I'm going to apply it to the user Ansible. So right here, where Vault write, that user gets that policy, right? That policy we just made. So now everything's going to touch everything, right? And then this is pinned if you want to do this lab with me now, right? And then if we go and verify that the user Ansible has the policy, Ansible policy that we see up here applied to them. Now the language of that, you might say, it looks a little Ansible or a little YAML-y, and it looks a little JSON-y. Well, it's neither of them. It's HashiCorp language. So HCL is what you're going to use if you play in Vault and Terraform and these kind of things. I don't really play in that world too much anymore. I don't really use those professionally. I've moved away from those myself for other reasons, which some of you guys know about. Yeah. It's got a little bit of other stuff to it, but it's a semi-structured language in the same vein as these other things. Suffice it to say, you can probably get a decent little version of it. You know, you could just steal this. You could get different versions of it in their labs. They've got a bunch of labs that HashiCorp allows you to learn with now as well. So if that's all done, we've created the user. So back up a second. We made the secret earlier. We turned Vault on. We made the secret. We now have a user which can come in through a user password. He can do some things against that path to that secret to be able to create, read, update, or delete. I've given him all the permissions. I really could just give him the read permissions for this lab, but I gave all because I wanted to show you guys some of these things, right? And then now Vault's all set up and there's all that kind of stuff. So now we're going to do some Ansible stuff. So let's install Ansible real quick. That's going to take, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds or so, if it's not already there. And we're going to go in and we are going to use Ansible, and we're going to read from that playbook. We're going to do an API call. We're going to have to give some very specific values in our API read. We're going to use the URI module, and we're going to run against localhost to use URI. It's no different than using like a Postman or an Insomnia, right? I've never really used Postman, so I can't speak to it much, but I've used Insomnia quite a bit professionally. Haven't done it in a while though, but it's just a way to interact with APIs and see what kind of tasty data they'll give us, right? So anyway, so we'll let this run. Let's look real quick at what this is going to do. Well, we'll have to wait till we get it up there because it's hard to see it all. I'll just grab all this. A little bit of weight here for Ansible. And I don't have any waters here, so. All right, that's done. Let's vi root secret read.yaml. And in here, we're going to hit Control-Shift-V. So look at what's going to happen here. We've got the 3 dashes at the top to denote YAML. Oh, no. Didn't mean to do that. Normally, that just triggers when people do an exclamation mark ask. But we're going to read our variables. Sorry, this is the name of this is an arbitrary name. Arbitrary name, arbitrary name. You can put whatever you want in there. I would try to be as descriptive as I could because I might be the one that has to come back and look at it later, right? So up here, we're running against just the local host. We're not using different hosts to go gather this data. However, we could, if there was a host in a different environment that was going to kick off the CI/CD pipeline, we can use him here. We can call all kinds of host groups and other stuff. We can define them here. We can pass them in other ways. We can do whatever we want. If I had any special variables I want to give it, I could. We're going to give gather facts. We probably don't even actually need that, but I like to do that just in case I have some timing stuff that I want to use. So if I want to print out time or stamp variables out later, I need that to be on. And then down here, we've got just a simple little name, test my connection to Vault for credentials. And we're going to hit Vault on 127.0.0.1, and we're going to use the path v1 auth user pass login, and we're going to give a username. Anybody want to guess what that username is? It's from before. It's an Ansible user. And the way we're going to pass in the password is in the JSON body format. We're going to give it in JSON content. Password equals whatever the password is that we pass in. Not super complex. And then whatever variable, whatever big blob of data the API gives us back, we're going to print out to the screen. We're going to catch it here, and we're going to print it back out to the screen. That's what we're going to do. All right? So let's go do that real quick. And when we do that, we have to give those variables at the command line because we don't have them stored anywhere else. So this is not really a super secure way of doing it, but we're going to watch it happen anyways. And we are going to drop those in at the command line. And let's see what we get coming out of here. Let's see what Ansible does. Let's see what Vault does. Vault gave us, first, a 200. 200 is very important. Where's he at? Yeah, there's our 200. Good. We also knew it was good because it was green, but if that wasn't a 200, that wouldn't have been good. And down here, we're going to get a bunch of information. Here's some information. So user connect is the start of that JSON path to the variables that we want. And we want user underscore connect dot JSON dot client token will give us this client token that allows us to run around. It allows Ansible to run around and pretend, well, or to authenticate against any other APIs that are open on Vault to read, update, or do whatever we need to with the data, right? So super simple stuff. Probably if you're looking at this going, I don't know what an API is, I don't know what this is, I don't know what that is, I would take notes. If I wanted to learn this stuff, I would take notes. If I just wanted to be infotained, I would, I guess, not take notes. But all right, so we got a value back that we can use. Let's do something with that value. So one thing I note here is it's not a way to do this. This is not secure, but we just want to see it run. So let's make this secure. Let's go to the bottom of this. Let's create an Ansible vault, which is totally different than a HashiCorp vault. And the password we're going to give this is Ansible1234. So paste, boom, paste, boom. I'm not doing that other one because it gets messy. And in here, we're going to use YAML formatting. This is YAML formatted. And we are going to paste in that username and password. So this is no longer ever going to be passed to the screen or to the terminal or any of those things. Let's escape :WQ. And now we've got a vault. If I cat vault.yaml right now, that is AES 256 encrypted. That is the minimum encryption standard for the cloud. That's going to be, you know, the thing that you're going to run into a lot, at least for the next few years. And let's make that a little smaller so it all fits. Yeah, looks unreadable. Pretty unreadable for the two values we put in there. So now we're going to go modify our read real quick. And we're going to, right here in vars, we're going to add a line. It's vars files. Why they called it vars files and not var files or vars file, I don't know. But we're going to say root vault.yaml. And now we are going to be able to pass in the vault password. So look, Ansible playbook, ask vault pass. So we're going to ask, there's two ways to get it, by the way. You can either ask the vault password each time and then it won't be echoed to the screen, or we can put in a file, but let's just go ahead and do this for now. And when we put in this password, we've got to give it that Ansible right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 this time, because that's what it is up there. And now it's going to go and it's going to pass in those variables for me. You guys didn't see me put user Ansible and the secret and the password or anything. You didn't see me use those variables, but those variables were definitely given in because we got a client token back again. If you don't do that, or if you don't pass those in, that thing's going to crap all over the place and you're going to get a bunch of red right here. But we got that. So now we've got a client token. Then we can go look at that client token, because again, the path is userconnect.json.auth. Yeah, userconnect right here. .json.auth.client token, client underscore token, by the way. Okay. So now we're going to add this in and we're going to go read that secret. So I'll just bang VI, doesn't matter. Shift G O, right? And then we're going to paste in this block of code that after we've done that first part to get a token, we're going to paste that token back in as we try to read this secret data app1 values. And we're going to do a method of get, and yes, and we've got to give this special header xvault token, and we just dropped the xvault token in there. There's other things that we could add. There's other ways that we can deal with this, but for now we're just going to read that secret, and we're going to register it as the secret creds, and then we're going to dump secret creds out to the screen just so we can look at it. Okay? Simple enough, right? Straightforward. We're going to use that same password from earlier, which is Ansible 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's going to read through and do all the things. It gave us that first piece of information. And then it failed. So, did I give it? What did I do wrong here? Oh, interesting. Something is broken in the lab. I've used this lab many times, so this is the first time I've seen this one. Permission was denied to that. Did I mess something up in my earlier steps, right? Did I mess something up back here? Right here. When I put that policy in. Has something changed in there, right? Secrets engine, path, secret, anything. That path should still be going. It's still the path we tried to hit. V1 secret data app 1 values. Okay. We can test this a little bit. We can go back here to when we were reading the variables, right? Secret app 1. Now, I don't know how data got in there. So let's see if, just for fun, I mean, maybe, let's try this. I don't know why that would have changed, unless they've changed the way that that works. Secret app 1 variable. One other thing too is that should be, I would have thought that was V2. Let's go try that. I don't know why this changed. Something's changed in here. I haven't changed this lab in a long time. I might have to go check to see if anybody's committed anything. Oh, there we go. So, real quick, that did give me way more information back than I'm used to. I'm not used to seeing anywhere near this much. It's definitely not what I would have expected. And super strange. All right. It's interesting because I've never actually, I mean, I haven't looked at this lab in a while, but I've never had problems with this lab. Secret app 1 values. Oh, what is it? There it is. All right, I need V1 secret data 1 apps. Secret data 1 apps. It's the way it's always read. Secret app 1 values, but again, normally you put data in there because it still is considered data in the path thing. That's annoying. I realized I was going to have to troubleshoot a lab tonight. Secret data app 1 values. Should still be version 1. That still is the original way we wrote it. So, let's go look. Use path login, that's alright. Root vault. Yeah, that hasn't changed. Say secret data app 1 values. And that's all coming through correctly. So that one worked. However, it did not give us back the value that we expected. Let's try this. I want to see this error one more time. It's a hassle. Don't normally get to troubleshoot. Oh, guys, did I forget? Hold on. No, I definitely put the policy in. Yeah, I definitely did the policy. I definitely wrote the policy in and then verified the Ansible policy allows me to see anything in the secret path. Yeah. Hey, anything down that path should be readable for me. That's fun. I swear something has to have changed in the way that Vault works since the last time I've done this. Because get secret app values. And then here's the actual path, secret data app1 values. So that's the full path to it. Secret path. So when you call it, it's secret data app1 values. Yeah. And my secret, I haven't changed that. That secret is applied as my Ansible policy, and that's the one that my tokens get. And that's the one that's applied to my user. I gotta go look if they changed the way that the HashiCorp language works or something with this. Like maybe my permission's not correct anymore. Maybe I need to give the key value now. I don't know. Something's changed. Something's definitely changed. Yeah, Hat Knight, hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Although I am troubleshooting one of my labs that this has been like a stable lab. This has worked for me the whole time. And now this V1 secret data app1 values is not the correct path anymore, even though it is the correct path right there. So why? Let's see. I get that. I get my user token. I hand my token back in here. No, nothing else is different. Permission is specifically being denied. No, so there is a strict transport security requirement for this. So it's possible. I thought the way, so that's probably been changed since I first did this, where you did not have to use HTTPS, you could just connect. But let's see. Give it the old college try, right? It's possible that I gotta go fix the lab if this does work. All right, we might have to go look at. Let's go look at the URI built-in module real quick. Do we have to give? Let's go look at some examples down here. Yeah, we shouldn't need. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to That's interesting. We've never had to do that before. Ah, damn it. Thought I was in something. Just ignore me. Vault password. Here we go. Let's see what it's actually giving us back. We're getting a permission denied, which is understandable. I'm not used to needing... I think possibly... Here's all of our information back. Here's our XVault token. There may be a newer step. I think this has to do with a newer version of Vault, because I think that Vault probably forces strict transport security now, so you have to have HTTPS. But I thought we had that. Oops. Vault server dev. It used to be when you ran Vault Server Dev without the TLS, it was insecure by default. But I don't think that's true. And I have to imagine that's not true anymore or something. That was a much newer version of Vault than I've used before. Alright, I gotta figure that out. Also, wife's coming home right now, so Chingopas said previous error was stating something about wrong. Yeah, so that error should still be, we should still be able to see that error right here. Here's the original error. I've changed everything back, so this should be the original error again. But I'm getting a status error. That's all right. Secret data app 1 values. That's the same path we were seeing when we did our vault read. Right, here's our path. Secret data app values. And it was V1. V2 gave, it's weird that it still says V1 because the key value that we're using is version 2, truly, but it's still V1 to get to that secret path. Well, or it always has been. I'm gonna have to go review and see something's definitely changed in Vault. I mean, we're using a brand new version of Vault, and I wrote this, a couple years ago. So something has changed in the way that this is behaving right here. It still allows us to go get our token. It's just something new is there. So I'm gonna grab. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab these errors. Right. I do always like to just lab error 4. And here's 1 here, right? And then also, just so I have it for later, I want to go get that other error. This was my verbose error, right? Oops, oh, oh. Ah. I do so much in Putty that I'm just used to right-clicking stuff and just mousing over it to copy it. Yeah, so it's saying error occurred, permission denied. So I'm getting permission denied to this data. I'm using the token that I just got from here. That token should be username Ansible. That's how I'm checking out the V1 auth user pass login. So I'm getting that user. I have all his permissions, presumably. His token policies are Ansible_policy, which should allow to read this path right here. Secret data app1 values. Something to test. Watch this. So this is actually a thing that we can do. This is a check. I don't think it'll be the check. I go all the way back to here when I first exported that token, right? And I go throw this token's good for the next, by default, 30 days. So all those tokens I've been making each time I've ran this, those are all real tokens. They're still usable. So let's just do this for a second. Let's become that user here. We can actually become that user right here and then say, can I do that vault read? Right here. So 403, please ensure client's policies grant access to secret app1 values. Secret app1 values. So here's the thing. Something's changed in the behavior here. I don't think the Ansible's wrong. Something's wrong here because look, that, you know, that's right there. We're now using a different tool to do the same thing, and we're getting this. Also, it's a way different way I've ever seen that called, but that's apparently the way that Vault is trying to get to it for the mounts. And it's possible that something changed. I got to go read some change. I haven't looked at Vault in years, so it's possible that that's just a change in the way you call that, but that seems like way longer than I'm used to. Because then I can go, here's the thing, I can go all the way back, right? Now I can switch between them. I can go back to root. Root can pull that just fine. Root's not doing anything special. But the permissions, let's do this. Path secret. I have to imagine something's different there. Something's different about the way that it either parses that or something I have to go learn about. Probably read some change, you know, because if you read all the different change, typically you can find the one pretty quickly that caused this, and it may have been a while ago. I haven't used this lab in a while, so it's possible that that's what's affecting me here. So, all right, but the wife is coming home right now, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to call this a day. We'll call this. Man, I need a win because I couldn't get my werewolf up the other day too, so I need to get back on the werewolf. But I need a thing where we leave on a win. But we'll call this a short stream because I didn't have a whole lot of time tonight before the wife was coming home. But let's go raid over on the Twitch side. On the YouTube side, I appreciate you guys